Welcome back, everybody. So this week I got some more parts. Got the second fuel rail. You know, I was saying this stuff was 10 bucks. It's 20 bucks for shipping. So yeah, so now I've got two fuel rails, and these are going to be about 7 inches long each. After I trim them, right now they're a foot long. What else did I get? I got the 2-inch P-clamps for the fuel pump. So put 2 of these on this thing and I can mount it down below. That's the bag of those P-clamps. I got a fuel sock. I am starting to think that I want to do something different with the fuel tank. Because I need to do a return line anyways, I am just going to go ahead and get rid of the petcock. And I'll run a better size fuel line down into the tank where this fuel sock will hook up to it. And it'll pull fuel to the pump, and I'm just going to have to put some kind of block off plate there, one fitting for fuel coming out of the tank and one fitting for the return line. I did get the water pump, so I may put that in today or tomorrow. Probably today, because that's how it goes. Box the sock came in. Let's see. This is the coolant I will be using. Engine Ice High Performance Motorcycle Coolant and Antifreeze. The reviews were just raving about how well their engine cooled after putting this stuff in there. So this should be great. I bought a pair of them. It's a half a gallon, so I got a whole gallon here. Should be more than enough for the bike, and some extra in case I need it. Let's see. I brought down a bunch of tools for doing wiring today. So first of all, I've got, you know, my soldering iron. This is a USB-C soldering iron. I love this thing. It works really well, and it's all electronic. If you leave it sitting for too long, it just goes into sleep mode. And the second you pick it up, it motion senses and turns itself back on. And it was like 35 bucks, and it's probably one of the best soldering irons I've ever owned. It uses a standard tip, so I ordered a whole set of tips for when I'm doing circuit boards and stuff. I got my 6337 lead solder. This is a nice proper alloy, better than the 6040 stuff. Got a multimeter, because I'm going to be using that a lot. Laptop power supply, which has USB-C, which drives that soldering iron like nobody's business. And then a bunch of heat shrink. I didn't bring anything down to heat it with, but yeah, any splices that I make will be soldered and heat shrunk. So let's see. So as you can tell, I'm hoping to make the audio better this week. I've got a lapel mic, I've got a voice recorder in my pocket, and while it says the batteries are almost dead, I'm hoping they'll hold out. But I'll keep a close eye on that. I'm going to try to do better camera angles. I got some concerns, some feedback saying that my head's always chopped off, and I totally agree that there was way too much of my butt in the last video, so I'm going to try and do a little bit better with the cameras this week. It's still what it is. I'm working in a tight space, and I'm not going to stick the camera inside the bike. So I'll try to switch. I've got 2 cameras. I'm going to have them on opposite sides of the bike. I'll try and switch angles based on where my butt's at. So anyways, today is all about wiring. We're going to, you know, preliminarily route the wires and possibly hook up to some things, but I don't know we're going to work on the routing. One thing I'm good at is hooking up all the wires. One thing I'm bad at is not leaving a rat's nest behind. So I think at one point I did one really well and it had no rat's nest, and then nothing worked. So I had to tear it all back apart, and at that point it's just like, screw it. So if we can start this properly, get this laid out in a proper way, then it'll all end better. So yeah, let's just get at it. I'll reposition the cameras and get them both running, and we will have at. So what I've got here is I've got the schematics, so sensors, ignition. So we've got the pinout up here, just basic pinout, and then we got schematics. So pretty cool. Should be pretty simple. You know, I don't even have the cylinder numbers on this bike. The manual didn't have it. Where's my... I believe that my spark plug wires had info. Yeah. So, this was mounted in the bike, and it went to that side, the side I didn't remove, 1 and 3. So cylinder 1 is, yeah, ooh, according to 1, 3, 2, and 4. This harness is going to get shortened a lot, but for now it'll do. That's so weird. Okay. So the first thing we were going to want to do is plug this into the MegaSquirt. Will be, yeah, so we got a gray connector and a white connector. Gray connector. Yep, there we go. There we go. And the white connector. Bring it in the same direction. Plug it in. There we go. Definitely tell it's airtight. It hissed when I plugged it in. So I've got it all plugged into the gym stem right now, so I'm going to grab my screwdriver out of my other pocket and we'll just unplug this. So most of these wires have labels on them. Like this one says stepper out 1B. So that's definitely something we're going to look. And then they tend to have themes. So colors. This is stepper out 1A. So we've got a blue white and a blue red. Those are just idle stepper motors. There's 2 more that we need to find. They're going to be blue as well. So here's a blue and purple, or maybe it's purple and blue. What does it say? It says digital. Nope, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for more blues, I think. Here's another blue. What's this one say? Oh, it's written in black, so it's super hard to read. Don't know. Can't read it. So that seems to be the only 2 blues in this harness, so it's got to be in the other harness. And that other harness is the one I was just looking at. It's got it written in black. Let's look at the schematics, because these are the only 2 blues in that pigtail, so maybe it's a different color for the other half of the stepper. Oh, laptop, stay on. Alright, so we've got NOx sensor, we've got air temperature, hall sensor, VR sensor, stepper idle. Okay, we got blue, red, blue, white, white, and green, red. Okay, that's why I couldn't find the other 2. Green, white, and green, red will be the other 2 stepper motors. And it's going to be in the same harness. So green, white, there we go, and green, red. Yeah, it's easier than trying to read the writing that's so small on these wires. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I can't read this stuff to save my life. Green, white, and green, red. There we go. These 4 will be the stepper wires. I'm just going to kind of twist them together a little bit so that they will stay in a group. Alright, there's the steppers. I've twisted them all together. And next up, let's do the throttle position sensor. So we got a bundle of grounds right here. So these are probably sensor grounds, but they might be you know, high current grounds. The way MegaSquirt triggers everything is you give everything power, like the injectors, you give them power, and MegaSquirt will give them ground to fire them. So it draws a lot of current through the ground and very little current through the power, the positive 12 volt feed. The positive 12 volt just gets converted to 5 volts to feed the computer and such. Okay, so we got spark A, B, C, and D. We can do those. No, we were going to do the throttle position sensor. So throttle position sensor is going to be solid blue. Sensor return is the black and white, black with a white stripe. So that was on the other connector, I believe. So we'll dig that out. and it's shared between all these sensors. So throttle position sensor is gray, just a solid gray. Let's see what we can find. VREF out, 5 volt positive, VREF out. So we got the 5 volt. This is going to go to the throttle position sensor. Yeah, this is gray. This is going to be the +5 for the throttle position sensor. It's also going to share with the crank sensor, the cam sensor, and one other sensor. Oh, map sensor. So manifold air pressure sensor. Those all run on 5 volts. So this is going to get shared between those devices. So I'm actually going to have to bring this and splice it and bring a bunch of wires off of that. So I'll do that in a bit. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of harness that I'm not going to use. That was not the throttle position sensor input. That was the 5 volt. Okay, throttle position sensor is going to be light blue, just all by itself. Yep, the gray is the 5 volt feed. Light blue. It's in the same connector, so light blue, please. Oh, I bet it's this. Shielded. Yes, TPS in. Okay, so we got a shielded TPS in wire. So this will provide ground. So I'll just do that. That's excellent. This is a pretty good harness with a shielded wire like that. So we got the 5 volt. We've got to splice it and get multiple 5 volt feeds off of it. This TPS is going to go over to the throttle position sensor, which is this 3 wire on the throttle body. If you can see that at all. Almost need 3 cameras, not 2. I'm just going to wrap this around the air filter for now, so I don't have to keep checking on it. Do something to identify these wires as I go. So this step, we're just identifying things. We're not going to cut or splice anything yet. Next, so we got the throttle position sensor and we got the idle stepper. So that's the wiring for the throttle body. Let's go ahead and do coolant and air temperature sensors. Those are nice and easy. So manifold air temperature sensor and coolant air temperature. Manifold is orange and coolant is yellow. And I have not put in my manifold air temperature sensor into the air filter yet. I still need to take that inside, clean it out properly, then I'll drill a hole in it, clean it again, and put the sensor in there. But we do have the coolant sensor, which is right under here. It's the black and white pigtail coming off the back of the thermostat housing. So polarity does not matter. Even though this is black and white, you could hook up the positive to that. Yeah, so orange and yellow. So we want a solid orange or solid yellow, which I think is right here. It says coolant in. Yes, so there's the yellow. That's going to go to this coolant sensor. I'm just going to, splice it together, and I will, do some sensical things. I'll loop the white and the yellow here together, rather than the black and the yellow, because that would just confuse people. All right, so next we need a solid orange. Intake air temperature in, IAT. Okay, so that's going to go to the throttle body as well, because the throttle body is going to have the air temperature sensor on it. So there's that. Map sensor. We are going to need the map sensor here now. So let's find what wires go. Ooh, the map sensor is going to get 5 volt and it's going to get sensor ground. Map sensor is a light blue with, I don't know if that's dark. Well, let's go up to the other instructions. That is, looks like the white connector, and it's pin 12. So white connector, pin 12, map in light blue with a dark green stripe. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell on these screens. They're not exactly known for color accuracy. Okay, so my map sensor is on this table back here. It was in a little box. Oh, there it is. Map sensor. Now, I don't have the pinout for this. I'm going to probably just Google that here in a second. For now, get in there. Really only need you to plug in once. Yeah! Boy, that was snug. So we got pretty much A, B, and C on here. Yeah, there it is. A, B, and C. Let's just open a new tab and we will search for GM map sensor pinout. There we go. There we go. And like the very first result, A is ground, so this is ground. B is sensor output, and C is 5 volt. So this is going to go to the 5 volt. This is the actual light blue with a green. So let's find the light blue with a green. This is going to have to get mounted somewhere under here, and it needs vacuum feed from the manifold, a manifold air pressure sensor. So this tells it how much load is on the engine. It's far better than the mass airflow sensors. Far less trouble. So I am betting that this is going to be a shielded one as well. At least I would have made it a shielded one, but I see a blue with a purple right here. So let's check this one. And we've got analog in 3. No, that's probably not it. We know it's on the white connector. So let's check these shielded things and see what they say on them. Crank. Got a crank sensor and a cam sensor, I'm sure. Cam. Yep, okay. So these two I'm just going to run down to this area because this is where the sensors are going to be. So those will get dealt with once I figure out how to hang the sensors. Okay, I guess it's just analog in is going to be the cam sensor. So, or map sensor, that is. Okay, so there's the map sensor. Analog 3 is what it's labeled as, but yeah. So this is just going to have to mount somewhere out of the way. And I don't know where. Right here next to the ECM would probably make the most sense. It won't have a long vacuum hose either way. So that's where I'm putting that for now. It does need sensor ground, so sensor ground. What else do we have on the white sensor, on the white plug? Because that seems to be what we're dealing with the most right now. No, there we go. On the white plug, we've also got. Apparently, it has NOx sensor support now. That's new. So we're not doing any NOx sensors anytime soon. There was PWM idle. Let's just go back to the list. White. So we've got a couple of high current outs, a couple of injector outs, manifold air coolant map, power ground connects to shields. Okay, so we probably don't want to use the shielded ground as the sensor ground. Good to know. We got the 5 volt out, which we already found. TPS in, manifold air. Okay, I'm back at the top. There we go. Logic ground, RS-232. Analog in. Map in is light blue and a dark green. Oh, I got it all wrong. Light blue with a dark green. No wonder it didn't have the right name on it. So light blue with a dark green is right here. And I'll find some writing on it. Oh, it's so blurry. Map in. Hey, what do you know? It has the right name on it now. So that's going to be pin B on the map sensor. We'll just swirl that around here. So my map sensor falls out of the little nook I tucked it into. There we go. Okay, back to the list. Oxygen sensor and tack out. We don't need the tack out because amazingly enough this has a mechanical tack, so that'll do. But we do need the oxygen sensor in. Pump relay output and power in. Okay, so let's start with the oxygen sensor. It's pink. Uh-oh. Hello, what's up?
Hey, what kind of Girl Scouts did you like?
Purple.
Purple box?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Sir, so that is O2 in is pink. Look for the pink wire. Here's pink. So this is going to go to the oxygen sensor, which I don't have installed yet, so we're just going to kind of route it back down here. Let the rat nest we'll let the rat nest begin. Yeah. Okay, power in. This is the 12 volt. This is going to want to be key switched plus 12 volts that stays on while cranking. So not such a big deal on a motorcycle, but it is a big deal on a car. You don't want to hook it to like the accessory ground and have it turn off while you're cranking over. But anyways, this is actually going to go to the fuse box. It's going to get its own, fuse. I'll put in like a 5 amp fuse or something small, maybe even less. What else do we have? Okay. Fuel pump relay output is purple. Yep, solid purple. Fuel pump relay out. Okay, so this is also going to go up to the fuse box. So here we go. We'll just kind of stick it up here. It's going to trigger a relay to turn on the fuel pump. You want to make sure that these relays, so the MegaSquirt's going to provide ground to the relay, but you want to make sure that the relays don't have positive unless the ignition is on. And I will probably get power from the run-stop switch actually. So when the run-stop switch is off, the MegaSquirt will be off. When it's on, the MegaSquirt will be on. So we're done with that. Let's move on to the gray connector. We want 4 of these injectors out. We got injector A, B, C, and D. So white, white orange, white green, white light green, and white red. So this is on the harness that we haven't dealt with. First, we've got a bunch of wires here that we're not using. So at some point, I guess I'm going to trim these way back, and I'm going to put a little bit of heat shrink on each one where I cut it so that it doesn't short against anything. I don't want to completely remove it. Even if I were to de-pin the connector, that'll leave a hole in the connector for water to get in. So we're just going to trim them really short, and so I can always hook back up to them later on when I realize I actually needed them. I'm not going to cut any of these until the bike is running, and I'm sure I don't need them. Big old bundle of wires. It's kind of annoying, but it's going to be there until I'm done. Here's the 5-volt feed for the sensors. I've got to, splice off into a whole bunch of others. I've got some nice wire for that. We needed white orange, white light green, and white pink. That'll be from the other connectors. So I see a white green here. Is it light green? I don't know. White pink, white orange, and white. Okay. Oh, there's a light green. Okay, so this is a little dark green. That'll get you. So there's a light green. So I want to peel these back a little ways so they're not tangled with everything. And then I'm not sure, well, these are kind of short, so I'm probably gonna go farther back in the loom to pull these out for the other side. Yeah, I'll probably, actually split the loom right here. Yes, all right, cool. So now let's see how they did it in the drawing. A, B, C, and D. Is that 1, 2, 3, and 4? I will just assume that for now. Obviously, I'm not going to cut it yet. So we got 1 and 2 over here, 3 and 4 over there. So solid white and orange. So 1 and 2. Well, there's 2. Where'd 1 go? There it is. Alright, there's 1 and 2 injectors. And 3 and 4 is going to be light green and, we'll go back up to the schematic, light green and pink. So we've got a white with pink. Here we go. And a white with light green somewhere in here. There you are. Like I said, I want to get these untangled up here at the top so that they just go where they need to go. There. Okay, there's the injectors. And then all the other whites and colors that are in here, that these go to other injectors that I will not need because this is only a 4-cylinder. Bundle all these together. There we go. There we go. Now I don't know if it's A, B, C, D is 1, 2, 3, 4, or if it's 1, 3, 4, 2, the firing order. So, got to figure that out in the instructions later on. Now, next up, we've got some grounds. Those are going to be power grounds. Injector out. Okay, spark out. Where does spark start? We got spark A is solid yellow. B is yellow orange. C, spark C is yellow light green. Okay, so that's going to be very similar, but with yellow instead of white. So let's find the solid yellow in this connector. There's a yellow orange. I'll grab that. Yellow light green. Here's a solid yellow. And a yellow pink. There we go. Alrighty. Now, solid yellow and yellow orange. Spark out B is orange, yeah. So, those are 1 and 2 in theory, A, B. Okay, these are going to go to the coil on plug coil packs. So, there's 1 and 2. There's pink. Where'd my light green wander off to? There you are. These two are going to go to the other side. Those are coils. Or, yeah, coils. So we got injectors and coils run now. What else do we have in here? Lots of grounds. We've got a digital frequency inputs. Those are like if you were doing ethanol sensors. It would be a digital frequency. Some grounds, USB. Steppers should have already come out of this one, I guess. Where did I do the sensor steppers at? There were the, yeah, these ones that were twisted together back then. Okay, cool. So these can go over to the stepper. All I did was set them aside last time. Alright, so there's stepper wiring. I could probably wrap around the intake again. There we go. Alright, so we got a bunch of grounds here. These are probably going to be the high current grounds. So I want to grab all of these into a bundle. And they're going to hook onto the frame somewhere where they can get a nice solid ground. Okay. Yep, that's all of these. Now the injectors are also going to come off of a relay and a fuse. So the injectors, actually the fuel pump relay will power the injectors. So yeah, the main relay will be doing the injectors, coils, oxygen sensor, and the fuel pump. I might split it into 2 relays, but yeah, that's the idea there. Alright, so these are my high current grounds, and the other connector, I did find, oh, there's a black with a white stripe, there you are. This is my sensor ground. I wrapped it up in with all these that I thought I didn't need. See, that's why we wrap them up and don't cut them off. So I'm going to wrap the high current grounds right around here. I've got this nice bolt boss. If I clean off some metal, that'll be a great ground. And I can use a 10mm, machine threaded bolt into there to get an excellent ground. There's that. Now, once again, we've got the yellows that I'm not going to use. So I can bundle those up just like I did the whites that I'm not going to use. That'll help cut down confusion later on. And I feel sorry for anybody that's colorblind. At least these are all labeled. But if you're colorblind, I'd probably just get your wife to come down and help you. It's like, can you bundle up these colors together? Or you're just going to do a lot more prep time reading the blurry wire labels. But it can be done. Somewhere I'm going to have outputs that I'm going to use to drive the fan relay USB input. I will probably bring that up with the fuse box. I don't know, here or something. So I'm just going to tuck that out of the way right now. There we go. There's my USB for programming it. So that's the wiring sorted out. Now I can do some soldering to some of the connectors if I feel like I've got the wire lengths just right. And I'm not quite sure I'm there on that yet. Well, I was going to do a lot more today, but then I got into the water pump. This whole front part of the engine, this housing, has to come off because the water pump's bolted in from behind. Boy, am I glad I did that here and not like on the road someday on a road trip. So, man, that was not easy to do. I went ahead and put the new oil filter in. I got the water neck back on the front of the water pump. It's all done now. So yeah, the old water pump, I bent it to heck trying to pry it out of there going, why won't it slide out? It's because there's 3 bolt holes coming in from the far side. This goes into the oil pump. And then getting it back on there, my O-rings didn't quite fit right, so they all wanted to pop off. There's a little metal tube that didn't want to stay in its hole, so it wanted to pop out. What a fight. So I took a break after I got it off, because that was an adventure, just removing it. And then I came back and fought it even more, trying to get it back on. I had to scrape a whole bunch of paper gaskets. It's got new gaskets, a couple of new O-rings. Luckily, most of those O-rings were still supple, because the ones I had did not want to fit, so I ended up just putting the old ones back. I flipped them around, so but they're still supple and they're not completely flat. So, but man, what a pain. Anyways, so that's why we're not going to finish up the wiring today. That and the fact that I don't have the intake manifold, so I kind of want to be real careful about routing this so I don't cut it all off super short. But we got the rat's nest, coil wires, injector wires. We got, you know, some of the sensors in place and hooked up. It's going to be fairly easy. It's just hard to do for camera because there's so much splicing and soldering and heat shrinking involved. Anyways, thanks for watching. Come back next week. Like and subscribe.